What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network and Fantasy Labs. I am your host, Chris Raybon. It's NFL Week 6. We got your waivers for you, your top ads, your top priorities at every single position. And as always, I am joined by one of the most accurate rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Koerner. Sean, I think you... What did you hit like the first touchdown Jake Tong just last week? Was that just? I mean, you're just that was just amazing. I feel like I got off a podcast with you, and like 2 seconds later, the guy you had an anytime touchdown bet on scored. So good stuff with that.
Hit on that. Had a really good week on props, and had another touchdown show call out of a guy that celebrated an inch early. I think DeMarcado actually got in, but I had AD Mitchell the other week, and then I had DeMarcado last week. But on the silver lining, as I also said, AD Mitchell, you got to take his alt receiving yard overs, and he had 96 yards. DeMarcado, my official play, was longest rush over 9.5 yards, so he got 72 yards on that bullshit run. So cash that. But yeah, it's so close on those touchdowns. I know you bet Bam Knight and Michael Carter to score. They both scored. So, like, we won.
I choose the guys that don't just throw the ball away. They go on. I don't know.
Yeah, we cashed all three of them. That's what I'm saying. Like, I hit. Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
We hit on all three backs to do something good. It just so happened he had that blooper. But I also saw you finished first place on Fantasy Pros last week. We didn't know that this time last week, but congrats on that. I know how hard that is. Like on 1 week, you got to have like a lot of amazing calls, so congrats on that.
Appreciate you, man. Like, I think you've said this before, but it's like our preseason's finally done. I actually got my our waivers in early today for the article, and I think we're in mid-season form. So we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna start with quarterbacks, and just a quick reminder: all of our fantasy football content is available right now over on fantasylabs.com. Fantasy Labs NFL includes in-season rankings, waiver wire tips, and more. We've even added a survivor pool tool to help you make informed picks. Hope you didn't have the Cardinals last week like me in the last spots, but make sure to use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. All right, Koerner. What we doing at quarterback? What is this, week 6? Yeah, week 6.
Yeah, is it? Oh, shit. Week 6. Not a great week for streaming QBs because I think the top 14 guys I have ranked are all taken in like over 60% of leagues. The guy you're going to talk about, if he's available, I would definitely go with him. But I'm going to go with Mac Jones here, who's still available in 96% of the leagues. I have him ranked QB 19. That's assuming Brock Purdy's out again, which it does sound like this toe injury is pretty serious. He might miss this week and beyond. And Mac Jones playing well enough, get well, Brock Purdy. There's no reason to rush him back if it's something that he can re-aggravate because Mac Jones playing at a very high level. I've said that it's not much of a drop-off between him and, Purdy and Mac Jones right now. Mac was able to finish as the QB 10 last week, despite missing like every starting wide receiver and tight end they have. It was really a who's at, wide receiver and tight end with Tonjes scoring that touchdown. So he could get Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings back this week. So that could, make this matchup even better for him. But they're facing the Buccaneers who, they're a good defense, but more of a pass funnel one. Christian McCaffrey just hasn't been able to get it going on the ground. So they've been kind of just using passes to him as, extension of the run game. So they've been very pass heavy with Mac Jones under center. So I think he's a sneaky QB2 type play this week. Obviously, he doesn't offer any rushing upside at all, especially with his knee injury. But, you could do worse than him, and it might be more than this week. I think he might be still in there next week. Who knows how much longer, but he's been playing well. So I think he's a solid streaming option, especially for, 2 quarterback super flex leagues.
So you're saying Purdy is the new Jimmy G and Mac Jones is the new Purdy?
It's so crazy because, what they spent 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance with the 3rd pick, right? Everybody thought that was going to be Mac Jones. Then they ended up getting Purdy in the 7th round the following year. paid him all this money, and at the end of the day, it might be Mac Jones was the answer. No, I don't think there's a quarterback controversy. I think Purdy will get it back when he's healthy. But it just goes to show that this scheme, if you have the right quarterback in it, they could thrive. And Mac Jones, he was a first round pick, so I've liked what I've seen from him. He hit my over 32.5 pass attempts. He was down in pain. When he had 25, I thought it was chalked. And he came back and he threw, 25 more passes. So he's my favorite quarterback right now. I'm a little bit biased, but he's looked great. And, with the shorthanded wide receiver unit, he's still looked good. So, I'm very high on Mac Jones in real life and fantasy right now.
I'm almost surprised you didn't go with Darnold here, because you were the Darnold whisperer as well. He's coming off a big game.
Yeah.
You have him around the same.
Yeah, he's
around Mac.
Yeah, he's around Mac, and obviously the better long-term play because, he's not going to turn the job over to anybody when they get healthy. Also, Jackson Dart, Dart, I have a little bit lower. I have all three kind of right there in that QB 20 range. Dart, he's questionable with the hamstring injury, has a tougher matchup on the short week. So I'm a little bit lower on him, but long-term, I think Dart still has, league-winning upside. So you can go with him if you're more of an underdog, but I just think Mac Jones has a really high floor right now. But all three of those guys are probably the top options, including yours, but they're all ranked outside my top 15. So we don't really have a streaming option this week that's, widely available that's ranked inside my top, 14 at least.
Yeah, now I'm looking at mine. It's the same thing. I think, let's see. Yeah, this guy is the closest. It's Trevor Lawrence. He's still available in around 60% of leagues, and we saw what he was able to do on the ground. I think that's something that adds a little bit of a floor ceiling combo to him, which is getting the end zone. We know they want to do that tush push too. They've been kind of talking about it all offseason, so maybe we see that. But it was a pretty entertaining game and a very good game for Lawrence against I think a good Kansas City Chiefs defense. Anytime you got Spags and scheming things up. So I think Lawrence is hopefully starting to trend up. Quarterback play has been a bit erratic for some of these guys outside the top 12. But if you look at Lawrence, a lot of the stuff that was going wrong with the Jags offense had been kind of out of his control. It was just guys dropping a lot of passes. I think he had like a 5 percentage point lead in terms of drop passes coming into the week over any other quarterback. So things like that are going to regress over time. And we saw that even though this Seahawks team, they played the Bucs last week, you could argue both of those defenses pretty good and still turned into a shootout. So I think this one, you could see something similar in this spot as well. So yeah, give me some Trevor Lawrence if he's available in your league, which he should be in about 6 out of every 10. All right, let's go to running back. Who are your top ads at running back this week? A lot of chaos.
Yeah, a lot of chaos. But first off, just Kendre Miller is still available in 70% of leagues. I can't believe that. I don't know what the hell people are doing, but he needs to be rostered in pretty much every league right now because he's made his way into a near 50-50 timeshare right now with, a fully healthy Alvin Kamara. And Miller's looked great. We have to remember he was a 3rd-round pick just a couple of years ago. Just hasn't done much because he's been out with injuries for both seasons, but now he's fully healthy. My comp for him is Aaron Jones. I just love his upside. And there's a very real chance that Kamara's traded before the deadline. You have teams like the Chargers who are absolutely in the market right now, probably for running back. So, Kendre Miller, he's already kind of an RB3 flex right now. And this is kind of the worst case scenario. Like Kamara's healthy and still there. Kamara can miss time or get traded. So there's so many paths for Miller to be a potential, low-end RB2 at some point. So I think he's got to be rostered. You could even use him right now. He's my running back 38, but just he has so much upside that I don't think people are realizing quite yet. Similar thing with Isaiah Davis. He's available in 95% of leagues. Don't think he's really a play this week, but with Braylon Allen out, it sounds like Allen's going to be out 8 to 12 weeks, which is that's the rest of the season, right? Especially for the Jets. I mean, why are they going to rush him back? So we could just say, Allen, it's a significant injury, potentially season ending. And the Jets, they went to more of a two-way committee here instead of the three-way one they had when Allen was healthy. Brees Hall just ended up with the monster game. He's, the clear lead back right now, certainly benefiting from Allen being out. But, I think Davis is seeing enough work. He could have RB3 flex value in these heavy bye weeks coming up. And Brees Hall's in a similar situation. If they don't want to, sign him to a new deal in the offseason and their season's in the tubes here, they could try to get something for him, trade him away at some point. So there's a path for Davis to have more value than the market realizes right now as well. So if you're a deeper league and you have the bench space, I think Davis is certainly worth an ad. But let's talk about the Chargers situation because, like I just mentioned, Hampton's out at least 4 games. I don't know if it's supposed to be longer than that, but Najee's already out. So Hassan Haskins is the only back on the roster right now. You got to that line first, so you put him in there. I think he's probably the preferred ad right now. I think he will require the higher bid, but I think Kamani Vidal is available in 99% of leagues. He's going to command some bids too. I think it's kind of a toss-up who's going to see the most value. Long term, I think Haskins will certainly. I think he's going to dominate the early down work, and goal line work. More importantly, goal line work. I think if they get to the goal line, he would be the most likely back to see that work. And the Chargers are going to be favored in most games, so I think Haskins is the play here. But Vidal definitely could be the hot hand type situation where he's going to probably handle most of the pass catching duties, and then he could take over as early down back. We don't really know, but this is a situation I want to get your thoughts. Like you wrote Haskins in here. Are you going to be kind of aggressive, when it comes to getting these guys because it's kind of a murky timeshare.
Yeah, you can have.
We don't know how long.
Yeah.
How and then if they trade for somebody, both these guys, take a hit. So how are we handling this? Because I think you got to try to add these guys, but I would just be worried that they're going to bring somebody in too.
Yeah. That's the biggest concern. As of right now, I am targeting Haskins more aggressively, just based on everything I've heard. Coming out of preseason, Haskins was consistently the second back in the rotation while Najee was out, behind Hampton. And, to that point, they started the year with no Kamani Vidal on the roster. So I do think Haskins gets the first crack. And you kind of alluded to it, but Haskins, if he's, getting the first crack, that means he's getting early down work. He's been the third down back for this team at various points. Last year, he was essentially the third down back and the goal line back. So this could be it's kind of like a dangerous situation for Vidal because I don't really know what role would go he could kind of take over in this that's valuable at least to start. So I think he might it might be a situation where it is like a 70-30 split. There's upside for that. But of course, at the same time, Vidal could just get the hot hand and do it. So I agree. You got to add him. But everything I've heard, I think Haskins gets the first crack, but it's probably a hot hand situation. Hassan Haskins really not that. I don't know what they love him. It's kind of like a Kenneth Gainwell thing though. He's just very reliable. The fact that he took goal line work over Dobbins and Edwards, who were, that was Roman. Those were Roman's guys. And he's still giving Haskins short yardage carries last year. So this guy.
If you need 1 yard, he's going to give you 3. If you need 10 yards, he's going to give you 3. He's that guy. So there's going to be people out there that spend a number 1 waiver on him, and I would just be careful. Where do you have him ranked this week? Because I probably have Vidal ranked a little bit
right around
higher.
RB30 or something. He's not. It's not like a super. I think it's a high upside play, but there are, he's still at the bottom of the running back kind of starting running back totem pole for me.
Yeah.
Just because there is that uncertainty to your point.
And they're against
50, it could be lower.
Yeah, they're playing the Dolphins. This is a matchup we kind of want a little bit more clarity. And then they face the Colts and Vikings at home, which, they're tough matchups, but you could probably still play them. And then they're at Tennessee. So they have a decent schedule for, I think, like you said, the lead early down back is who I want for the Chargers. So that is Haskins, and then Vidal's just kind of the wild card. But it's definitely a tricky situation, and I think people will probably overbid on both of them if I had to guess. But just felt like it was worth diving in. And the practice squad guy,
Amar Johnson's pretty good, I thought.
Yeah,
he had
can we get a full unit? Can we get a full unit plus 800 touchdown bet? I think that's going to be a great bet this week.
Plus 800? We're getting him like 17-1. We're getting him at like Zonovan, like Bam Knight.
Yeah.
Double Bam Knight numbers. I feel like it's.
Oh, I love that.
I don't even think the books know who he is. But I was just gonna say, I think the correct answer might just be all of them to get home, because the Dolphins, yes, they've only given up 2 touchdowns to running backs, but an NFL high 668 rushing yards to opposing running backs, and the 5th most receiving yards as well. So maybe we just ladder Vidal's yardage and Haskins' yardage, and then get the Johnson touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 3-back. You got to start learning how to play these 3-back committees.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's Buffalo, it's just not Ray Davis. Just fade him. But if it's
anybody but Ray Davis, yeah,
right, somehow. The other guy I want to mention, just because I was very surprised that he's still available in about 60% of leagues. This was a guy who I was just texting people, telling like my friends, like, yo, pick this guy up, Michael Carter. We were like 90% sure, but we still wanted to see it in action. Him be the lead back over the course of a full game. That's what happened. He looked good out there, caught 5 balls as well. I think he had 18 carries. So they said they were going to use a little bit of the hot hand, but now with DeMercado fumbling at that terrible fumble, he had 2 carries in situations where you would not think a running back would get a carry. So I think it's just going to be Carter and Knight, if anything, which kind of alleviates any of those concerns. So I have Carter as firmly in the RB2 ranks, just outside my top 20 this week. So, and even on the road in a tough matchup. My only worry is if the Colts just like get up super big, super early, and the Cardinals are just kind of forced to throw all game. But the fact that Carter caught 5 balls, I think is a good sign, because he's been a passing down back in years past. And who knows, maybe DeMercado has like a shorter leash, because the first couple of weeks he wasn't playing at all. It was Benson getting that third down work. So I think Carter has a high floor and a high ceiling in this spot. And going forward, he's going to be, I think, that lead back. It's his job to lose. So Carter needs to be added everywhere. I would say he's got to be the top priority if he's there, and then probably one of the Charger backs, and then Kendre, right? That's kind of the order you were going, or
it's I think Kendre, it depends on
Vidal.
Yeah, like I'm with you on Michael Carter. I was kind of leaning, Carter's going to be lead back, and then he said like, I'm starting this week, and then I bumped his carries up to 12.5. So I think Carter's the priority. It depends on what situation you're in. If you're 5-0 right now and you don't need a running back, Benson, it sounds like he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So Carter, by the time you get to the fantasy playoffs, might not be the lead back, right? So it kind of depends on if you're win now mode or, Carter has to be added in all leagues. Same thing with Kendre Miller. I think Kendre Miller is more of a long-term play, whereas Carter is more right now and potentially long-term. So Carter is definitely the number one priority for me if he's even still available in your league.
Yeah, because this Saints and Chargers situation is kind of clouded by the fact that you're right. The Chargers are probably the lead candidate to trade for Kamara, but we also have the Taysom Hill wrench thrown into the design carry situation, because I think he get 6 carries last week. So
for minus 1 yard. So I don't know what was going on there.
He's just warming it up. He's going to go off. He's tight end 1 this week. You know it.
And then he threw a 19-yard pass. So now we got to add that back in our models. But typical Taysom Hill game. But he's going to have to deal with that. Even if Kamara's gone, Taysom Hill's still there. So, that's probably going to dock him, 1-2 touchdowns maybe the rest of the season. But I think if you're thinking long-term, KJ Miller's the play. Short-term, absolutely Carter. And then the Charger running back sort of in the middle of that. There's so much uncertainty there that I wouldn't go overboard on them. But if you're desperate, I would say try to get Haskins out of those two.
Yeah, I mean, I think this week is just it's a good spot for the Chargers. They're probably going to want to run the ball. You know, their pass offense has been a little shaky lately. Offensive line is a little banged up, but I think you can run on Miami. So, I would not be surprised if both of those guys got in the end zone and had big games this week.
Yeah, and Alt could be back this week. He's questionable, so who knows? But yeah, getting Alt back would be huge for both backs.
That'd be one more offensive lineman than the Dolphins have. All right, wide receiver. Who do we like on the waiver wire this week?
Well, I don't know if we go and like him, but we have to talk about Ryan Flournoy because I think he's going to be one of the top ads this week. Yeah, so last week I ended up plus 22 in ECR on him once Turpin was ruled out. Once because CeeDee Lamb's out, that's massive, obviously. But when Kevontae Turpin was rolled out, I bumped Flournoy up to 55% routes run rate. I was giving him carries. I thought he would inherit most of the Turpin role. And he did. You know, I think they opened up the game with a run to him, right?
Yeah.
So he rushed twice for 10 yards. So that's kind of the Turpin role. And then he caught 6 balls for 114 yards, sort of the CD Turpin combined role. So, and I think Ferguson left the game for a bit too. So he just had this massive opportunity, took advantage of it, looked great. So if, CD and Turpin are out this week, which is what I'm projecting just to, have that. He's my wide receiver.
No, it sounds
40.
like they are. Yeah,
they are. Yeah.
It just sounds like from what the conversation surrounding it from the team, it sounds like they're going to be out one more week.
Yeah, so he's my wide receiver 40. Where do you have him? Assuming both are out, do you know?
Let's see. I'm looking at 40. That sounds aggressive even for me. Yeah, I still have him. I still have him right at that 55.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I do like him then.
I like him too, and it's more important. The team loves him. He was in competition with Jalen Brooks and Tre'Shaun Holden and Cropper for that final roster spot, and he went out. And they knew that he was going to have to play a role because Mingo was going to miss time to start the year too. So they really like him. Our guy Gifford Gold always talks about Flournoy and how much the Cowboys like him. So I think he's going to be involved.
I have Mingo returning this week. If Mingo's held out again, which I have no clue what's going on, probably doesn't matter. I think Flournoy would be in my top, 40. So I think if you're desperate, you need somebody this week, you add him. I'm just a little bit worried, someone's going to overbid on him. That's my concern with them. So don't go crazy with them because, again, once Turpin and or Lamb return, you probably can't trust them. But for this week, it sounds like you said, sounds like both might be out again. He's definitely in play. Just don't go crazy. But I don't think it was that fluky. Again, I think he had the opportunity. He took advantage of it. That's going to present itself again this week. So, I think he's a decent ad this week. Felt like as we're talking, even if I'm saying don't go overboard on him, but that's kind of how I'm projecting him this week with those two guys being out potentially.
Yeah, you could, and it's going to be him. It's probably going to be him or Tolbert to go off because Pickens kind of has a similar situation. I know he caught the touchdown last week, but kind of a similar spot where another really good number one corner for the opponent. So you could see some of those targets, go elsewhere, and it's going to go to those ancillary guys. And I think, Ferguson, it seems like he's going to be good, but there was a point where he kind of left the game and he was questionable. I think he's off.
He came back in. Yeah, he's not on the injury report. He came back in, but he was out. I think he was out for at least a drive. So I'll have to see how many catches Flournoy got on that. But just another thing that happened that opened the door for him to have this massive, 120 plus scrimmage yard game. Plus, Dak is playing so freaking good right now. Just finding a way to kind of get a piece of this passing attack should be everybody's goal. And obviously, Pickens and Ferguson are owned in every league. So, getting a guy like Flournoy for this week, is getting a piece of that Dak, MVP caliber play right now as well.
Did not have Jake Ferguson tight end 1 after 5 weeks on my bingo card. By the way, he's like 10 points ahead of Kincaid in half PPR, 9 points.
Yeah,
and like you said, he's out there just missing drives. Just like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't need to play the full game, and he's still popping. But yeah, I noticed that when I went to go look. We're going to do our top 5 on the next pod, but I was like, holy shit, Jake Ferguson's my tight end 1 to open the week. What a world.
Yep. And Jake Tonjes is tight end 9.
All right. Tight end 9. Oh shit.
Yeah. We have a special promo for those of you who want to give a chance to Action Pro for just a limited time. You can get 33% off an Action Pro monthly subscription. So for the price of just a week, you can get a month's worth of access. You can get our NFL prop experts like Koerner, Nick Giffen, all those guys' picks instantly. So you always get the best number. Plus, MLB playoffs are in full swing and college football is in full swing as well. So now is a great time to experience all that Action Pro has to offer. Just head to actionnetwork.com/pro to get 33% off a monthly subscription. All right, Koerner, tight end, who do you like for week 6 on the waiver wire?
Yeah, so I like Theo Johnson here, available in 89% of leagues, although that's probably going to go down after he erupted for 6 catches, 33 yards, and 2 tutties. And we shouldn't be too surprised by this. I mean, he was a 4th-round pick last year, has some pass-catching upside. And, you know, we were talking about Wandale getting a boost, Slayton getting a boost. He gets a huge boost, too, with Malik Neighbors done for the season. And now Darius Slayton looks like he's hurt, too. I don't know if he's going to play this week. And, you know, defenses are going to have to adjust to Dart's massive rushing upside. So, you know, this could lead to Theo being a little bit more open going forward as well. So either way, he's in the streaming discussion this week. He's my tight end 17. Love his upside. You know, this week and going forward, he's probably going to require a decent bid this week after the big game. So maybe you can hold off, let somebody scoop him up for too much, dump him in a couple weeks if he has a dud. But he's a guy that absolutely needs to be on our tabs going forward. You know, it was only a matter of time until he did kind of break out, and, you know, it's setting up perfectly for him right now. So there's going to be times this year where I think he could be in the tight end one, low tight end 1 discussion. So Theo Johnson's a guy that the needle is definitely pointing up. And we saw him, you know, I think he scored in back-to-back games now. So 3 touchdowns in 2 games. That's what you love to see when it comes to these, you know, potential league-winning type tight ends that you could add on the waiver wire.
Yeah, it is a tough matchup, but like you said, the Giants are just, their receivers are dropping like flies out here because Slayton did not practice as we sit here on Tuesday. I was initially going to go with Mason Taylor, but I've actually ended up bumping Tonjes up just a tad over him. And he's available in 96% of leagues. This is assuming Kittle, he's not coming off the IR this week, I believe. Yeah,
he's still got a couple weeks, I think. Probably before Ayuk, but yeah, I'd say 1 or 2 more games of Tonjes.
Yeah, and, you know, it would be potentially even better if Mac Jones starts, maybe, because he had that game. You know, it's kind of gotten in a groove. But I think the wide receivers returning will actually help him. This Buccaneers defense is number 27 against tight ends, and they're going through a lot of issues just in the secondary, cornerback issues, and so they're going to have to kind of, you know, dedicate more coverage to, you know, help their corners now, because you know, they can't trust them as much, and that's going to open up things in the middle. I think that's why you saw a guy like Barner eat last week, who I also like. I think there's a lot of these fringe tight ends right in that, you know, top 12, top 15 range. Tonjes, Taylor, Theo, you know, Barner. So it's kind of a you know, just play roulette. All these guys are probably gonna end up goose egging at this point, but no, I have Tonjes. I do have Tonjes as my tight end 12 in this spot, and that's with Pearsall projected back, Jennings projected back.
Oh wow!
I just think this is a good spot for him, because it's, you know, you already got McCaffrey, right? So that automatically kind of opens things up. And this Niner team, it's usually George Kittle, so you do have to dedicate all these coverage responsibilities to him. But in this situation, it's like, okay, who are you gonna not cover out of McCaffrey, Jennings, and Pearsall? Time just is gonna be open all day, I think. So, and it's a close spread. We saw the Bucs get into a shootout last week. They're finally starting to get into more shootouts after that low scoring start to the year. So yeah, I like Tonjes again this week. I think he's a very good ad, and he's available everywhere. So you don't have to worry about him not being there. But let's jump over to defense, special teams. Sean, who do you like?
Well, if the Packers aren't available, I would go with the Raiders, who are available in 96% of leagues, of course, but they're playing the Titans this week, which is, the matchup I like to pick on when it comes to streaming defenses. And, the Titans, they had that crazy comeback win. Happy for Cam Ward, but he still has the same offensive line. And he was sacked twice. I thought the Cardinals were going to get to him a little bit more than that, but he threw a pick. So this is a week, I think, Max Crosby should be able to get to Ward one or two times here. And, I think I love Ward as a talent, but he still has that sort of interception upside. He's going to take some shots. He's going to be aggressive. So he's a guy I'm still looking to attack. And yeah, they're available in pretty much every league. And they open up as my number 4 defense. Just because, again, they check all those boxes, projected sacks. The team total for the Titans is on the lower side. Let me see.
Yeah, it's like
I think the
18.
third lowest of the week. Yeah, which is like the third lowest of the week. So that's, going their way. And then, more turnover upside. We can't predict, how many of those will go for touchdowns. That's really the most volatile part when it comes to defenses. But, the Raiders still check every box I look for when it comes to streaming defense. So, again, they're my top 5. They're widely available. I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you could probably go with the Titans in this game too. Everything you just said, kind of except the team total, kind of applies to the Raiders offense as well. I mean, Geno Smith, Jesus, he just cannot get out of his own way, and then he's doing the bad body language thing after every negative play now, which is it's usually a death knell for a quarterback. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just a sloppy all-around game with plenty of defensive points on both sides. But you did mention
my number 10 defense. They're my number 10 defense. Yeah. I just noticed that.
It might be 9 spots too low. No, serious. The Packers are my number 1 defense. That's what's going to happen when you are a very good defense coming off long rest in the early bye, and what is it? 14.5 point favorite still as we record this against the Bengals, who I guess they're thinking of potentially making a quarterback change. Who knows?
Did you see what happened?
Not been able to get what happened.
They traded for somebody. Oh my god.
Oh wait, I didn't see that.
I get to break that. You know who they traded for? Joe Flacco. Oh shit.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
So
Bump
them up, right? Bump up the Packers.
The Packers played their worst game of the season against Joe Flacco, but it was still like 13-10. So nothing really.
But
not
do you think they traded for him? Again, it was minutes ago. Do you think we don't know, but do you think they start Flacco this week, or are they going to give him a week to?
You don't trade for Joe Flacco on a Tuesday to not start him.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. It was Friday. Okay, fine. Maybe next week. But I think since it's Tuesday, they're going to throw him out there. They can't throw Browning back out there again. They just got to see what Flacco can bring, right? So
practice doesn't start till Wednesday. They traded for Flacco on a Tuesday. He's going to get a full week of practicing.
I agree.
Wow. Oh man, that is. I mean, it's as far as it does bump Green Bay's interception projection down a little bit, because I mean Browning's is pretty much as high as you can get, at least in my model.
That is true. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But the Bengals can't run, so Flacco's probably going to be similar to Cleveland. Flacco, he's going to have to throw 50 times just to get to 200 yards. Get a lot of dropbacks, which is what we want. So no way that Green Bay is not going to be the number 1 defense this week, in my opinion. It's just there's a pretty good gap there. But Available in about 52% of leagues. If not, yeah, go with the Raiders or the Titans for that matter. What about a kicker? Who's your top ad?
Kicker, not too great for streaming purposes. And my new kicker model, I'm number 1 in Fantasy Pros accuracy.
Woo,
I know nobody
congrats.
cares about the kicker defense rankings, but I put a lot of work in this thing. Doesn't really like, too many guys this week. So that's why I'm just going to go with the most talented guy that I think is still available in too many leagues, and it's Cam Little. He's available in 65% of leagues. Quickly becoming one of the better kickers in the league, in my opinion. He drilled that 52-yarder last night. Looked like it could have been good from 70 plus. And that was actually his first attempt from 50 plus this year. Just, that's how it happens. Is some teams, the kicker has zero control over, his field goal attempts, but they haven't really been stalled in that range until last night. But I think anytime they have anything, from 64 yards to 50 yards, they're going to go for it with him or attempt the field goal. And this is a week, they have a 24-point team total at home against the Seahawks. So, they'll be able to drive it across midfield, but I think they'll probably get stalled a little bit more here. And we could see, more of these 50-plus attempts for Little. That's what we need with him. So he's my number 10 kicker, but I think long-term, he just has an upside like a Brandon Aubrey where they're just going to attempt any time that they think he has a chance to make it. So I think he has that kind of upside. I'm going to go with him as my streaming option, a potential, long-term option for you at kicker. If you don't like playing the streaming waiver wire stuff week to week.
Yeah. So Cam Little right now is the kicker 6 on the year. And remember, the kicker 1, Spencer Schrader, is out for the year. So Cam Little, non-zero chance he actually finishes as the top as a top kicker by the end of the year. But my kicker model does like somebody that you can stream, and it is Brandon McManus. He is my number 1 kicker. And again, that's just when you have a spread like this and a team total like this, your kicker is essentially the prime beneficiary outside of the quarterback. So yeah, like McManus, he's my kicker 1 this week, about nearly a full point ahead of who's kicker 2? Aubrey of Aubrey.
Oh, Aubrey, yeah, not available in any leagues. Michael Badgley is going to be the kicker for the Colts. I think he's a top 10 option too.
He should be.
Yeah,
but
he is the kicker. Okay,
I don't know why he's the guy that he just doesn't have the premier. Am I thinking? Is it him or Patterson that he's like has like a weak leg? Like, why doesn't he have a job right now? Badly, I feel like
he does have a job now.
I know, but I mean, why does he always start the year without a job? Is what I'm asking.
I don't know. He's 5 for 13 on 50-plus yard attempts.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay,
maybe it's like kickoffs. The new kickoff rules. Maybe he has a good knuckleball kickoff. Yeah. But yeah, looks like he's been pretty poor.
Okay.
And it was just one season. One season, and he went 2 for 6. The rest, he's gone 2 for 3 the last couple seasons. So yeah, I don't know, but the Colts added him. He's kicking indoors. So yeah, he's a top 10 option as well. Now that I know he's their kicker.
Yeah, I was wondering who I think I have the Colts kicker just like it's still Schrader. He just zeroed out in my model.
Same. I just replaced him with Badgley, and he's popping now. Now he's popping in my model. So
let's see. I can do this in real time as well. Let's see.
Live projections.
How do you spell Badgley? Is it B-A? Is it like badge or B-A or like bag?
Badgley.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. If I put him in the Colts kicking spot, yeah, he goes to my kicker 10. So
yep.
Yeah, he's right behind Cameron Dicker for me in my model. Top 10 kicker this week. So yeah, definitely another option, but. McManus, number 1. And speaking of the Packers, I think we got so lost in that Flournoy, I don't even know how to pronounce it now.
Flournoy.
Flournoy. Yeah, there we go. Flournoy discussion that I don't even think I gave my top ad, but it's Romeo Doubs. He's available in about half of leagues. I think it's another good spot for him against the Bengals, who have not been playing good pass defense. Oh. Just wanted to mention that, but that's going to do it. We didn't forget any other picks, did we? Nah, I think we're good.
Nah.
All right. That's going to do it Fantasy Flex Week 6 waivers. Be sure to subscribe to the pod so you don't miss an episode all season long. We'll be back tomorrow with our player projections pod, and we will have our DFS episode the day after. And later in the week, Action Network podcast for the Touchdown Show with Koerner, myself, and Jill Gallant. You can find Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we are at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Go download it. Until next time, let's get this money.